Here again, Linda and I discussed the original publication called The 10 Principles of Being Rich, and it goes through a variety of 3 individual characters, fictional characters that we've developed to describe and illustrate how you can benefit from some common sense estate planning and also the financial planning aspects of your life going forward. I'm sure you'll find it equally as interesting as some of the other segments.
Some of the other advice that you give, I think, and it reminded me of The Wealthy Barber, and I love David Chilton, but you have the 10 principles of being rich.
Yep.
And this, it's brilliant because it goes through so many different parts of your life and how you can get steered away into debt rather than steered into savings. So tell me a little bit more about that.
What interesting project. I mean, we started to assemble some of these loose thoughts that we had, and certainly we were inspired by David Chilton's book.
Yes.
In using characters. So we made up a couple of characters to try and explain some of the issues that they have. You know, certainly about even savings. We have 2 twin brothers, Larry, and I forgot the other guy's name, but they start saving something like
15 years.
Different. And yet the guy that did it for
15 years
accumulated enough money to actually surpass the guy that started
15 years
later and put more and more money in than the first guy. That also is available on site on the computer with all of the figures and everything else. It's just a way to understand that you don't have to save for the rest of your life, but those early years
are so important.
And then you have this magic about compounding.
Yes.
You know, and the fact that it just keeps working for you, and especially now that it's in a tax-free savings account.
Yes.
You know, a brilliant instrument.
And I think every Canadian should fight to keep the tax-free savings accounts. They're so important. Well, of course, I wrote a book, Money is a Girl's Best Friend, and women tend to deal with money slightly differently, and I'm not going to say that's a broad statement than men, but I also was going to work on money is a kid's best friend. Yeah. And one of the biggest things that a lot of my friends say is we seem to have taught children that money grows on trees, and it doesn't.
Well,
and
no, but the kids do. They think, you know, they'll go and put their hand in their parents' pockets, and that's the tree.
Yes.
You know,
or get a credit card at university and then max it out and not realizing you're making the bank rich and yourself poor.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the minimum payments,
yes,
you know, you can be paying that for the rest of your life because there just isn't any room. I mean, we have 0 interest rates being paid, basically 0 interest
on
rates
our savings, and yet you can pay up to 26% on a credit card.
Absolutely, yeah,
which is ridiculous. So, you know,
like the usury point of 64% is so out of line to what's actually going on. I mean,
and I won't even go, but payday loans, a lot of these kids get forced into this. So I think that there is a real need for that education again. It seems to me that we were educating in the 80s and perhaps the 90s, and then of course we had the subprime meltdown. But today I believe lack of education, and we need it in our school system for our children.
You know, I mean, one of the basic tenets I've always held is that I've been poor.
Yeah.
I know what poor is like.
Right.
You know, and that's a great foundation for me, is that living without debt is the easiest way to have a life. You know, you have to borrow money for a mortgage, and we know all of that. And you have to buy cars.
Normally a good debt. Mortgage is good debt, but
But otherwise, you have to be conscious of everything that you buy. I mean, people, when they purchase and say, how much is that? That's $600, and I'm having to pay $300 to get that $600. So I'm actually buying that for $900. Because
such a good point. I think educating the kids is so important today.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when I was at school, 8, 9 or so, in the classroom we brought in empty packages of food, like grocery stuff, and we'd have a post office and a grocery store, and we would have an allowance, and we're all little kids, and we were told how we were given so much money, had to buy take the money out the bank and go to the grocery store, which was the next and buy these groceries, and then figure out how much it costs and how much you want to live. And I'm 10 years old.
See, we need to bring that back. It's so simple, it's so easy, but for anybody to get ahead, And, you know, the world is such an unstable place right now, but for the kids, I really truly believe. So, David, maybe that's our next lobby.
It could be. Yeah, absolutely.